Hey folks, I'm HP and this is Dr. Pink, and today we're going to talk about how to have a great sound with any equipment, cheap one, expensive one. This is one of the main questions which drives all of electric guitar players, and we're going to answer your questions here now. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to the channel, hit the notification button, follow me on Telegram or on Instagram or on Spotify. Yeah, so let's get started with this topic. This is a must-have tutorial. Must-have means that is for everybody, any level, because there's some information here which is really for any style or any level. So when it comes to your guitar sound or the electric guitar, you can spend thousands of dollars or whatever currency you have in your country to buy expensive equipment. Probably cannot afford it. You have cheap equipment. Maybe I only have a $100 amplifier and you're frustrated because you want to have a great sound. But I have good news for everybody. For those for the cheap equipment, it's not only the equipment which makes a sound. The big part is you, and that one I'm going to talk about today. To demonstrate this, I'm using cheap equipment myself. I have a Black Star head for $200. It's a tube head, a 1 watt tube head, and it's really authentic sound. And now comes the thing: switch off all effects you have with your amplification. Switch off all effects you have. In my case, also reverb is really dry, just like, see, it's totally dry. Check this. Let's take an A5 chord or D5 chord. Switch between the different pickup positions. Listen how it changes the sound of the guitar. That's the first step to get into this. And also experiment with the volume. Tube amps, my amp is a tube amp, have the advantage that if you go down with the volume, the sound is more dynamic. But also really cheap amps, they have kind of dynamic range, but it's not so big as other amplifiers. So probably there you have to really check out the dynamic range. What is the dynamic range? It's here. See, this is now a max volume. And here on the knob, I just go with the volume pedal. Then listen how the sound sounds like. And how the sound develops if you play a single note with max volume, or listen how your amplifier sounds like. That's really important, that you get a feeling for your guitar, your pickups. Some have different pickups, and also how your amplifier, how the dynamic range of your amplifiers. With the very cheap ones, it can be that this here I have mid distortion. When you go down with the volume, the distortion stays, and then suddenly the volume is gone. So that is a very little dynamic range. A big dynamic range is when the sound gets softer. See? Yeah, so that's the first step to do. Now the second step, we're going to go on close view now to see how your playing style and your playing abilities have a direct impact on your sound. I'm here now in the A minor pentatonics. If you play it without any articulation, any movement here, it sounds pretty cheesy, and probably some of you might know this kind of sound because they don't do anything with the notes they're playing. See, if I just do like this, the main signal of the electric amplifier, especially with the distortion, is really ugly, I must say. But let's take this note here. If I do nothing, it's really ugly, but oh, what happened now? by your vibrato you create a nice tone. It makes it softer. Before it was aggressive and hard. But and listen how the tone develops. See, and now I stop. Listen to the tone, how it starts, how it develops, and how it stops. Hear the vibrato. Stop. Instead of... See the difference? That makes a big part of your sound, even if you have a cheap amplifier. Work on your vibrato. Experiment with the volume knob. Now is a max. Now I go on middle. Sounds literally clean. See? Put out the volume. Also experiment with the volume, how the tone, and also with the vibrato. The less distortion you have, probably the less vibrato you need. More distortion. See how the overtones are coming now. On cheap amps, the overtones don't come so easy, but it's still possible, just needs a little bit more effort. On good equipment really reacts very fast and direct to what you're doing here. But that doesn't mean that you cannot have a nice tone. See, I'm on my $200 head here. Also the way how hard you attack the strings. That's really important. Let's try this now with a track here. I have a slow blues in A. Without any effects, just to create the maximum expression. And the cool thing, really, if you want to develop your tone and your sound and expression, practice without any effects. Just switch off all effects, reverb, delays, everything gone. And then play with the track and try to get the maximum expression. Oops, there was a bug in the wire. And I wanted to say something. When you have no effects, you have to get the expression out of what you're doing, meaning the vibrato, the way you stop a tone as a tone starts and ends. The stopping also gives a little bit more expression. All these are things which you can put in and make it sound better. Also switch between the pickups. That is really important. Practice without effects, and the more you do it, it goes automatically. You need to get more expression in your tone, and that will boost up your abilities to create tone especially when you use cheap equipment. You have to be really extreme with vibrators or getting overtones, because it doesn't react so fast. And when you then go back on equipment with a big dynamic shift, as I said, that's the main difference between cheap and good equipment. Good equipment has a great dynamic shift, cheap one just a little one. Probably also the volume, but it's not about volume here. Yeah, and that's really important. Also try to just play chords, and then just also without backing track, just listen to the tone. Also with the articulations, you can play, let's take this note here, this E here. You can play just like this, you can play it like, or you can play like this, or you can play like this. different expressions for one note. Really check it out with no effects, which one you like most and the way you get the maximum expression out of it. Also with the way you use your pick. If you switch your pick into pinch harmonic position, then you get more dynamic shift from this just by... See, I went into pinch harmonics and back. As I said, the dynamic shift, the range, not shift, the dynamic range is the key to sound good. And this way you can really start to sound great. Now let's I'm gonna switch on the reverb again while I'm talking here, that you see the difference. I've been playing now without reverb, now just add some reverb, not even delay, and then suddenly, oh, that's too much reverb. Reverb or delay just multiplies what you're doing here. I did the joke in other days, if you play like shit, it doubles up the shit. If you play nice, it doubles up the nicest thing. So really, the first thing to do is get a great tone, then multiply it with an effect like reverb or delay. I'm gonna have to put back the reverb a little bit. So, and then, so first practice without it. Now let's do... See, it works. Any reverb or delay multiplies what you're playing. Always think about this. First work on your basic tone without any effects. Once you have the abilities and the tools together and it's not about playing fast, but that's also practicing technique. Because this how you move the strings, how you get vibrato, how your position of your hand is. This all has to be practiced. You have to get a feeling for it and not just play. Get a feeling for each note. And then you don't have to play many notes, then you're going to sound great. Yeah, folks, that's what I wanted to say about how to sound great on cheap equipment. If you can do it on cheap equipment, then you can go for expensive equipment, because then it makes sense. Because as I said, if you put sh in something, sh comes out. If you learned how to make something great, then something even more great comes out. Also, good equipment multiplies what you put in. So for those who have cheap equipment, cannot afford expensive equipment, that doesn't matter, because you still can sound great on a cheap equipment, because as I already said, it's about the dynamic range. And if you have cheap equipment which has a little dynamic range, you can pump it up with your playing technique. And once you can afford expensive equipment, then you're going to sound really great. That's my advice. I mean, just that you know, I mean, here in the studio, I have for myself, of course, expensive equipment, but at home, where I practice most, I have a Roland's acoustic chorus amp since years. That's just a transistor amp with just reverb, and that's it. And I practice most of the time on that amplifier, not an expensive one, with no effects, sometimes only reverb, no delay, and all that stuff. And that's the way you create ability to create tone. Yeah, what more to say? I'm gonna play a little sequence now to see how you can play just with the cheap amp here with the Blackstar, and to see that it can work. If you want to download that backing track, it's available in the HPCrazy Guitar Academy. Join there anyway to support this channel. Make the premium membership upgrade, because all lessons come with additional material, and it's for sure fun, and you can start to communicate and exchange with the other students and build your community of guitar lovers, and I just help you to get there. It's not about me there, guys. So, yeah, what more to say? Follow me on Telegram. I have a new Telegram account, HPCrazy. Write me a review on Google Maps. That would be great. HPCrazy Guitar Academy. Follow me on Instagram, Spotify, and I'm going to play the sequence for you. See how this works.